Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first period intermission of Utica TV Frozen Game Day here. Jeremy Horowitz, James Brown, Nico Leonard, Jack Rathburn. Guys, what did you think of that first period of hockey?
I mean, Jeremy, I was up there in the press box with you and the legendary Ray Biggs. It was tense. I was up there with my man Spencer Davidson as well from WKTV. Absolutely awesome to see him. He said it too. It's tense right now. It's you know, as Ray Biggs said, even hockey for a while, but I don't know, not exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah, I think tense is the right word to use for that first period that we saw. Shots on goal are about even. I believe Curry leads 9-7. But the 9 chances that Curry got are so much more higher quality than the 7 shots the Pioneers got. Every time the Pioneers have a high-quality chance, so to speak, there's a Curry defender there in the shooting lane to block the shot.
Yep.
And every time the Pioneers are kind of pressured at their own blue line, they turn the puck over. They completely lose their mind. They just leave the puck and let Curry go do whatever they want.
At least 3 to 4
Ryan
times.
Piros has had to make a couple big saves early. Luckily enough, we're still tied at 0-0 after 1. But that's not a recipe for success for the Pioneers.
And some massive chances missed as well. I mean, Lundberg on the one that he flew up to the net. I mean, that's a wide open goal. I mean, in games like this, like what we're saying, it's going to be low scoring. Got to put it away.
I was going to agree. I mean, there was one chance Gabriel Lundberg had a nice open, batting opportunity. The puck came in flying over the net. He was right there. Just couldn't time it up the right way. You've got to take advantage of that kind of timing. It was perfect. It was right there. I mean, again, I had the best view. It was a great opportunity. You've got to put that in the net. But I think being tied at 0 is not the worst case scenario. I'm okay with this. I mean, we talked about, Jeremy, you said it right before puck drop. If the first 5 minutes is kind of going to dictate how this game goes, and if Ryan Piros is not going to let in goals, that's going to match the Curry goaltending, and I think that's going to be at least not the worst thing for Utica.
Yeah, Piros looks really, really good, at least for that first 20 minutes of play. And I was speaking to Ray right before we went live. He said, listen, there's 2 Pioneers teams we saw this year. We saw the first half Pioneers, we saw the second half Pioneers. The first 5 minutes are really going to determine what team we're going to see. That performance from Ryan Piros in the first 20 minutes, that seems like the second half of the season, Ryan Piros. And that is really going to help this Pioneer team going forward. You got to clean it up in your own D zone. You got to clean it up at your own blue line.
Well, guys, go ahead, Nico.
There was one highlight from that period, in my opinion. Granted, I'll give some defensive pairs a shout. Perek and Reed Oliver, good defensive pairing right now. They look good. They look locked. Not the big 4 monsters we're talking about that Gary Heenan mentions,
No,
but they look good, those two. And that's all to Perek, and he can hop on a line with anyone, and that's how they use him. He'll hop on with whoever's the extra skater that's the defensive pair, and he'll hop on with them, and he does a great job with them. He looks really good. And then even Preston Brighton and Schultes, they look great on the blue line. I mean, there are positives, and not to toot my own horn, I said it was going to be the defense.
You were right about that, but I'm not too worried, guys. This is a Pioneer team that hasn't played very well in the first period throughout the whole season. I mean, I've watched most of their games, usually from the WPNR studio, not live, but they've always been either scoreless or even trailing. Most of the time, you saw it last week against St. Norbert. You've seen it a couple times this year. I think this is a Pioneer team that definitely plays better as the hockey game goes on, and a team that's tough defensively. Like you said, they want to wear down their opponent, and I think they're doing just that on the defensive side of things.
And I think if we were spent the whole pregame kind of comparing this game to St. Norbert, they were down after the first period. We talk about how badly they played in the first period. If we're going to compare that and saying they played badly, they're still tied. Like, they have not done anything wrong, per se. Like, there's still a lot of chance to improve, and that's going to be good things.
This performance, like you're saying, compared to the St. Norbert game that we saw last Saturday, is phenomenal. There's things we can take away. Again, details. We'll go into the intermission. We'll work on details, and we're going to see a different Pioneer team come out the second period. I fully believe it. And this is a better Curry team.
You mentioned you guys, all 4 of us are there, but you started. The face-offs look good for Utica, and again, it's the little things. It's the details like we keep harping on. And I'm sure in the post-game press conference, that's what we're going to hear about, whether the Pioneers win or they lose. It's going to be the details that finish this game off, and you got to be better. And you have to win every third of the ice. And right now the Pioneers are not winning in their own third, right in front of their own goal. They even Piros out to dry. And the big 4 monsters, they haven't looked like themselves in that first period. No. And that's something they really got to clean up, and clean up fast, because this Curry offense is humming.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, the only defensive pair that I really think has been showing anything defensively is the pair of Reed Oliver and Aiden Perek every time I've seen them out there. I think they're cleaning up things nicely. They look a little more composed. They're both vets of the team. Reed's been around since, I think, 3 years ago, and he's been playing on the team, whether he was playing a lot or not playing a lot. He's really stepped up this year, and to have a guy like Perek next to him, it's been helping him for sure. And the 4 monsters, like we're talking about, they'll figure it out 100%.
Well, we talked about the Pioneers. Let's look over at Curry's side of things. What do you think they could do to try and get back into this game too and try and break the draw?
Just let Soderwall keep doing what he's doing. I mean, me and Ray talked about, or excuse me, Ray and I, to be grammatically correct. Riley also brought it up. I mean, he's a guy. He's huge.
Yeah.
He's like Ben Bishop. He's absolutely huge. You're not gonna be able to beat that guy by taking shots right at him. You got to get him moving laterally. You have to get guys screening him in front of the net. And you have to make sure he's not comfortable. I mean, Drake Morse came around the faceoff, flipped the shot. Yeah, it's a shot on goal, but it's not a competitive shot.
No.
Like he can do that with his eyes closed. He can do that sleeping. You know, he just picks that out of thin air. That's not a competitive
done
shot.
on 3-4 different occasions.
Yeah.
Like
This is a guy who made almost 100 saves last year in the quarterfinal game against Hobart. Like, that's too easy for him. He's huge. You need to get this guy moving laterally. And for Curry, let him just keep playing his game. You know what I mean? Protect him as much as you can. Get in the shooting lanes and make his life easy.
Yeah, if you're going to beat Soderwall 100%, you're going to beat him on backdoor passes. You got to get him moving, like you said, laterally. And we're not doing that. We're not. We're getting antsy. We're firing things from the outside, from the wing, without really seeing what our options are, maybe slowing it down, getting some possession in our own O-zone. We're not really doing that at all. So I feel like if we can get a little bit calmer in our O-zone and work the puck and work Soderwall, we might see a goal in this period, 100%.
Jeremy, I think you're on the right path with Soderwall. I think you have to let him do his thing and then use that because you have time. You know you have time to not necessarily be down in like a deficit because you know Soderwall is going to make a lot of saves. You're going to have time to kind of learn this Utica team, let Utica come to you, and then play to their weaknesses.
I was once told the best offense is a great defense.
Yep.
And that's exactly what this Curry team has done in that first 20 minutes of play. I mean, let Soderwall let him do his thing. Play through him. Let him play his game. Let the defenseman get in the shooting lanes. Let the defenseman work through him and play for him. And then the forwards and the breakouts and everything else will come into fruition. And if you're the Pioneers, you got to get him moving. You have to make sure he's not comfortable because that first 20 minutes, I said it with Ray. It was too easy for him, and you're not going to be able to win a hockey game when you make it too easy on the opposing goaltender.
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen so many goals that are wraparound goals for the Pioneers. Haven't seen them really attempt that at all here tonight.
That's a good point.
I'd like to see them try and work around behind Soderwall, and like you said, move him laterally. I mean, you saw it in the last game versus Hobart. I feel like, Geneseo really wasn't moving their goalie too much laterally, and that's why they didn't have too much success. I think I agree with you on that point. Trying to get him moving. He's like you say, he's a big guy, takes up a lot of space. I like to see them try those wraparound tries and try and make it more of a dogfight. I feel like Curry's doing a really good job with their shots. A lot of their attempts have been like those loose balls where they just off a rebound, get an extra second chance effort. Pioneers haven't had too many of those.
And Curry has been the enforcer. It looked like the Pioneers really being the more physical team the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. From that point, after every whistle, every face-off, Curry's jawing, they're throwing fists, they're shoving, they're cross-checking. Curry's been the more aggressive team, and we saw it in the second and third period against Norbert State with the Pioneers. They came out and they were the more aggressive team in the second and third period. I think that really allowed them to come back and score 4 unanswered goals. Obviously, the game we're tied 0-0 after 1, but for the Pioneers to come back and win this game, you got to be the more aggressive team.
Yeah, Curry's absolutely. I mean, we've been here. Me and Jack have been right here watching what's going on. I mean, Curry, every single play, they're grabbing him on their jerseys. They had Lundberg in a freaking full Nelson in one of those plays, wrapped him around his neck. I was like, geez, they're coming.
The refs are letting them play.
And I called it. I said they're going to come with a chip on their shoulder. They look like that team.
100%.
The Pioneers were able to kind of I think they were able to expect that, and they kind of fed off the energy. Not obviously, I do think they were a bit of the weaker team. Not to call the guys on the team weak, but they just weren't the aggressor in that first period. I do think your point of Curry coming out and being coming out with a chip on their shoulder, they were the more aggressive team. I think we really saw that in the final 12 to 10 minutes of that first period.
Sure, but don't forget too. But don't forget too. This is a 1 seed. We're playing the best team.
And that's strange because we're not used to the Pioneers not being the 1 seed.
Exactly.
For them to be in the Road Blues tonight, that's kind of telling.
Yes.
This Curry team is really, really good, and we saw why in that first period.
Yeah, they earned their right to be in their home whites in our building. But the chip on their shoulder, I mean, that says everything you really need to hear. What the Pioneers need to do this period is they need to settle in. They were frantic. They looked nervous, like I said, in the O-zone. They need to just settle in. Curry is completely dictating this game right now. This game is completely going by how Curry wants it to go. Hero's made some great saves off his pads, and it's great. He's keeping us in the game, and that's what a good tendy does. At the end of the day, you always need a good tendy to win national titles, and we'll take that in the first period, and we'll move. And like I've always been saying this entire segment, details, details, details. We come back out. They just need to want the puck more, and they don't seem to want it. Every time they get into the O-zone, they're like, I gotta fire this. I gotta fire this on net. No. They gotta possess the puck a little bit.
And I think that's kind of what we were saying in the first period. It feels like Curry's kind of just doing whatever they want.
Yes.
They're playing their game, and Utica's trying to catch up. Now, there's two things you can interpret with that. The first thing is that Utica's able to keep up with that. They're able to hold their own. They're able to keep it scoreless after that. But now the second period's got to be like, okay, Curry, can you play our game? They need to dictate. They need to see if Curry can catch up to what they're capable of doing, because they are capable of doing a lot of big things.
Those are two fantastic points. Ray said it before I walked downstairs. He said the Pioneers' breakout looked terrible. They didn't look good in their own D zone. You said Curry dictating the pace of play, Nico. Right after the additional faceoff, the Pioneers won the first faceoff of the game and immediately turned the puck over, right at their own blue line. You can't do things like that. Curry is completely dictating the pace of play. And if you're the Pioneers, you got to settle down. You got to set things up in the O-zone. Your break it has to be cleaner. And you got to find a way to make Soderwall's life harder.
And it's going to be an interesting one, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to wrap this thing up because teams are about to head back on the ice, so don't want to miss the second period intermission report. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about. Don't go anywhere. 20 minutes of hockey coming up. Turn into WPNR 90.7 FM to listen to the game. We'll see you at the end of the second period. You're listening to Utica TV Game Day.